Well, hey everybody, this is Don with the vlog of many things, and as you can see, we have a full house of crazy guys tonight. Along with me, there is
Tom from Tabletop Tap Room.
Shankar?
And
Steve.
Yeah.
Say
And
your
Steven.
name.
Yep,
Okay,
Steven Lake. I'm here.
Steve was on our show a while back. Steve's a old friend of mine from many eon ago, and he's in the show tonight. So, gentlemen, how are you tonight?
well, it's been a rough night because the toddler didn't have a nap. So
Ooh,
Oh,
I am now recovering my sanity.
you're on
gotcha.
borrowed time.
So, did
Shit.
you finally get your nap then? That's pretty good of me, wasn't it? You fell right into that, Tom. It's gonna be one of those nights. Mr. Gunn, Fugly, how you doing tonight? Oh, see, Fugly likes the long introduction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Someone has to. When Don gives you the finger, you must speak up. Yeah. Tabletop Tap
Well,
Room, Tommy Boy, what up? Mr. Gunn says. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff, guys, tonight. We are going to be talking about, let's see here, uh, fundraisers that made their money, fruit cakes and freaks who got banned from Facebook, WotC and their constant nonsense. What else we got going? We got all kinds of crazy stuff happening
we
tonight,
have a
guys.
special we have a special guest, and rumor has it he's an author. So I just thought,
Yes.
has Stephen
Yep.
publishing
Yep.
anything lately
Yep.
or about
Yep.
to?
Yep. Steve, we're going to be wanting to talk to you about what is the average words per day an author can do consistently with editing and get it right. And the answer is not 5,000 to 7,000 words a day.
Can't you're sure I can't use that?
Yeah.
No, there's no real set amount. It's basically just whatever
Yeah.
inspiration gives you the ability to do.
We'll give you the background story. It's kind of like I talked to you about a week and a half ago. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So, um, all right. Well, couple things. We got TotalCon coming up here in a couple weeks. Everyone's fired up for that happening.
Yep.
Any other game conventions happening here pretty soon? We got TotalCon. We've got
I heard there's one in Battle Creek, Michigan.
yeah. There's WizardCon. There's ours. But what else I'm talking about?
Hold on. In March in Baltimore, there is Game Face Con. It's held in a brewery. It is free. And
Really?
yes, and it's 2 days in honor of Levi Combs, and they are releasing a special brew for Levi.
Levi warrants his own convention. I know someone special, and I didn't know he was that special.
Yeah, I know. So go figure.
Dang. I knew him when.
Rachel's photobombing 10 car there and the green screen effect.
Yes. But if we get lucky, maybe we can get Rachel to sing
Uh
the Jigglypuff song tonight.
oh.
Oh, Jigglypuff!
She said she was saving it for WizardCon. But
Yes, save it for WizardCon. That's right.
You haven't heard from Jigglypuff in forever.
No, we have not. But then again, we probably won't be hearing from him at all because his IP has now been permanently banned by Facebook.
oh,
So I guess we'll do our special guest, Mr. Lake down below, Stephen Lake. Steve is an author. He was on our show before. Author, computer, geeky guru.
Linux admin.
Yep. Loves to do children's social media websites. Don't
Ixnay.
we? Long story short, we did a children's social media website. And we about killed each other over it, but we survived. So, real quick, let's talk a little bit about writing. Steve, just to kind of throw something at you, okay? We're gonna approach this in a fresh manner. We know a gentleman who does sci-fi game modules,
Mhm.
and he claims that he can write 5,000 words minimum per day, and that's like editing everything completely done. I call that BS. It's not possible to do it consistently.
Not consistently, but you can do it because I've done it on some of my editing runs. Depends on
You
what the
have,
day
but
is.
that's rare that you've done it.
Mhm.
It's very
But
this guy like.
has
Go ahead,
your
Tom.
stuff smelled like AI writing? Had that nice whiff of
No, Steve does not do AI.
no, but I'm saying,
No,
but this,
I use AI, but it's more as like a super Google, a tool to help me along with my writing, but it doesn't do my writing because I won't let it do my writing.
Yeah.
yeah,
And you
Right.
remember, Don, the outlet? Well, a an idea outline for a short story I was working with. It was the elemental hegemony that I sent you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you liked that one a lot.
Yes, but the thing about AI is, and maybe this is a good segue into AI. You know, Steve's not really into the gaming scene. Steve is more into the
forgive him.
classic writing scene and sci-fi scene. But the thing is to kind of give you a little bit of me. I mean, you've talked about this quite a bit, Steve. But AI is very, very. It's a very divisive topic in game design. You have people that are very pro AI and people that are very anti AI. Um, Eric, you use a tad bit of AI, correct, in like helping you kind of get ideas and spur ideas, right?
And in the brainstorming
Yes.
phase, yes. I mean, I use it as like a random table
Yes.
generator, but I don't use it to present my material and go, I'm done.
Yes.
No, because it's generally
Yes,
incoherent.
yeah, it's
I
very
mean,
broken in how it does its things.
Well, and plus, I think you have to be
yeah.
careful with the AI because the problem with AI, and Eric, you just said it, and so did Steve, is you know AI will throw stuff that looks good on the surface at you, but when you start digging more deep into it, it just kind of like goes off on these little weird little side trips and everything.
Well,
Um,
one thing I found it's really useful for is if you write out an idea, like that elemental hegemony one I gave you. If you write out an idea and you feed it to the AI, it's very good at summarizing and it's very good at picking out problems with your idea. So, like if you're in there and like say for example, you're one of the things that chewed at me for a while was pacing was off. It was too slow in certain scenes, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I go in there, look around. Oh, yeah, it is okay. I got to go fix this, speed this up, so forth like that. Then you go in the next time, and oh, yes, now you got the pacing right, but now you've got this over here you got to work on. So it's good at getting that. It doesn't get everything, but it will catch certain like things that would like even Grammarly would catch. So
Right. Well,
well,
I paid for I paid for the upgraded GPT subscription,
mhm,
so that I had access to the little bots that you could program.
mhm.
And my thought is all right, I will train one of these little bots to do character generation with the Star Frontiers rules. And the problem is that it kept defaulting to its material there, uh, the training data. And so it kept forgetting that I says, no, we're not doing D20. Don't
mhm.
don't give me any effing D20. And so many times I went round and around with this stupid little bot trying to retrain it. And, it just kept defaulting to D20 and it just would not accept, because I thought, I'll get it all trained, I'll test it, and then I'll publish it and I'll make it available for the Star Frontiers community. I was going to do one that you could just punch in what you want for a robot, and it'll ask you, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And then boom, it'll spit out a robot stat block for you. I thought that would be fantastic use of AI, but apparently I was doing something wrong because one of the other teachers at the school was feeding me ideas. She was like, "Yeah, I wrote one to pick out what I wear for clothes in the morning. I wrote one to do, curriculum for seventh grade science. I wrote one for, you know,
Yeah,
program
but
one of these." And, I had no success with it, but I do have a lot of experience playing around with it. And it's like an idiot sometimes.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
But
Well,
the big. Go ahead, Steve.
okay, yeah. So one of the big things I found with working with ChatGPT, and I'm going fairly soon. I'm going to be writing a intro to writing because I have a series called Intro to Writing. It covers the different things in there, and I'm going to be writing a number of them on AI. And one of the things I've learned about working with AI, especially ChatGPT, is you have to think of it, or you have to think about it and how to use it from a programmer's perspective, because the prompts you're writing are the same thing as writing PHP, C++, things
Yep.
like that. And I think I probably pick up on that more because I write PHP and all those like that. So I automatically got in there and realized, okay, this isn't like how some people think it, where I'm explaining something to it like I explained it to you, but rather I'm writing a script and then getting the expected response out of it from there.
Yeah, this is not the regular Chat GPT. This is like a chat bot that you train for a specific thing, and
Yeah.
I just gave up on it. After a certain amount of time invested in it, I was like,
Yeah, it's
But
frustrating.
the interesting whole thing about all this is kind of relates to something else that just came out the other day. Is the federal courts now have ruled formally now that you can file copyright based on AI writing. It cannot be the 100% use of AI, but you can utilize AI assisted writing and it is copyrightable and is protected under copyright law. So I think that that's the first step that they're going to do that's going to basically open the floodgates and allow people to do entire books using nothing but AI. And I think that's total fucking bullshit.
Agreed.
well, it's going to be crap product. I
Well,
mean,
look
Yeah,
at look
if
what the modules that are being put out by people. You know,
or
the
novels put out by a certain Nazi game designer we know of.
who has a fetish for Asian teenage little girls.
mm-hmm.
Yes, he had that fetish.
Oh, jeez.
Uh, his one of his pages there had weird stuff for the Wendy's girl
Oh
logo.
yeah, he's
I mean, he was just
that guy's a
weird.
walking freak show. Scott
But
Mulder
he
says,
has whole books written. He has
yeah.
whole novels written
Well,
and
guess what
put
he
on
does?
Amazon, copyrighted, claiming with his fictitious nom de plume, who is now the
But
chief financial officer of his fake company. That's
yeah, the
not
one I
even.
got the letter from.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know
I mean,
that
he's just
moron.
yeah.
But
Harvey the Rat.
Mulder has a comment. He says Tom V knows I had a bad day yesterday with a Facebook host wanting to publish one of my art pieces after a friend of his sent it through an AI filter and turned it into hot garbage. Exactly. I don't know about that, Scott, but just for let you know, Steve, Scott Mulder, Steve, is and I'm going to say this blatantly, is a freaking hell of an artist and a hell of a game designer. Talk about a guy who is a frigging talent, and that's Scott Mulder. And
He's got stuff on drive through for a game that was Star Trek with the serial numbers filed off, starships and spacemen, something
mhm,
like that. He's got a Frontier Space module that he's written, and he has supported the Star Frontiersman, and the Frontier Explorer fan magazines for decades. We're into
well,
decades now of him supporting us with free art.
but the
A
thing
fan
is this.
can't even make any money on.
But let's
And
give Scott Mulder a little bit more of a credit due here. This guy, right, this Scott Mulder guy, and I'm going to call this guy out for what he is. And what he is a hell of a gracious man. He's a hell of a good creator, and he supports the community by just, I mean, he will just help out. If you need help, he'll give it to you. You
yes,
know, and people like that. This is the problem that I have with the Ennies. The Ennies need to have awards for people like that, for Scott Mulders out there, because people like Scott Mulder deserve awards for that kind of stuff. Like at WizardCon, we're going to have awards, like a public, and this is something that we're going to be doing a poll here in a couple of weeks. Is get your ideas ready. We want to poll. What kind of awards do you think we should have at WizardCon? You know, because people deserve to be called out for what they are, like Scott Mulder, community, helping the community. people like Eric Tenkar down below, people who sit there and want to spread the word. Tom next to me, Steve. Oh, stop it, Eric. Darn well, you're a nice guy. Contrary to what I heard from Dean Coppermill.
Overrated.
Oh, Dean Coppermill told me all about you.
Eric's got a heart of gold.
Yeah. But the thing is this. Speaking of, real quick, we can get into real quick something interesting. We're going to hop around a little bit here. I deserve an award. I got Dean Coppermill banned from Facebook and removed, his account removed. That was me, by the way, my attorney.
Did you really? Wait, this is news.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I'm popping over.
I'm typing this in 3-way. Eric, this is proof he doesn't read our chat to Script Talks.
Hey,
I've been talking about this since yesterday in our 3-way chat.
He has an AI bot give him a summary after the day is over. So don't worry about it.
Tom.
Oh, he's gone.
Yes, he's gone. What happened was he was sending threatening emails to my wife.
Uh-oh.
So, and Steve knows how I am about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is my attorney got involved, and after many, many calls, and he finally got a hold of the right people at Meta, and he's like gone. His account is nuked. They nuke bombed it. It's like carpet bombed his account, and they're going after all associated IPs. Remember that account earlier I told you guys about that asked me to be he was an artist? That remember? And you said, Eric, that you got a friend request from him, denied it. He's nuked now also. That was Lanasa. I believe it was Lanasa.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going after Lanasa too?
Well, they're going after, don't know if it's Lanasa. They're going after all associated accounts with Coppermill or Coppermill, whatever the hell you call his name.
Because we've had reasonably good information that there were two people sharing the account.
And that's the best part, Tom, because the best part is when they start looking at all the IPs. Could you imagine having the old Oregon IP removed also?
That would be fun.
Who's clacking on their keyboard loudly with the hammer?
I think it's Steve.
Mr. Lake.
Why are you blaming me?
Because you're like Jim Kitchen. He does the same thing on my life.
It literally sounds like you're going.
Here's my keyboard.
It's almost as bad as Don chewing ice.
Oh, that was painful.
See, Steve, I get no respect here also.
Oh, that's normal.
Hey,
I'm going to call you Rodney Dangerfield.
And you know what?
You got the hair to match.
And I have a witness down below that attests to this. Steve knew me back when I had my publishing company. At least I don't have my co-host giving me cakes of their boobs for my birthday. Remember that, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
They literally, the women would give me birthday cakes the shapes of boobs, and then I'm like the bad guy. Like,
so inappropriate, but...
I still remember when he still had his company. Like, we go into the back office where he had his office, and then people would come in the front and they're listening to us talk, and it sounds like a cat fight back there. And we'd finally get done and walk out. So you want to have a burger? Like, what the heck? You sound like you want to kill each other. Like, no, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah, we're just talking. Oh boy. But you gotta admit, Steve, they were one hell of a group of women who worked for me. They were a really good crew there. Mm-hmm. That they were. But,
yeah, and then you had the flip side with the authors.
Oh,
not one, but
not all of them. A few. We had a few. We had the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Remember them?
Mm-hmm.
But all right, so basically, back to the federal court thing. That's interesting is what they did is they went ahead and they decided that AI assisted writing you can copyright. Now, what is everybody in chat? Dave Thompson, Thyatis, Thor, Fugly, Scott, Mr. Gunn, Eric, Tom, Steve. What's your guys' opinion of that? I don't think that's right. But then again, how are you going to prove it anyways?
because it's a step forward towards AI art being legit. And I don't want to see AI art become legit until there are protections for artists in place.
But the problem
And
is this: don't you think that the court went ahead and made this ruling just because of one thing, and that is they might as well allow it because how are you going to prove? It's like the Ennie. Eric broke this story yesterday. The Ennie Awards have now said that starting in, you said, Eric, 2026?
Yep, 20. So this not it doesn't apply for
Lay it out,
this
Eric, for
summer. It
everybody.
applies. Basically, what it is that as it stands right now, you can submit your products for or your releases for an Ennie if it has AI work, but the AI work itself isn't eligible. So if your cover is by I don't know Mike Smith, but your internal art is by AI, the cover could win, but the overall product could not win,
that's
and the
dumb
internal
as
art could not win.
shit.
So,
Well, now if there's any AI, it's all
so my question,
verboten.
Eric, is this for the Ennies? How are they going to
Mm-hmm.
prove that that was AI based? Because what they're going to do is, I think that they're going to utilize this as a further tool to play favoritism. So, like, let's say Eric and Tom are very well liked and Don is not by the Ennies. Let's say I put out work that is even better than Eric and Tom's. They can now choose Eric and Tom over me by just simply saying because Don has AI art in his stuff.
We suspect, and that's the whole thing too, right? What do you say? We suspect because the AI art detectors suck.
Yes, they do.
Well,
All right.
they
So
decided a picture of my cat was 89% likely AI. You know, and I told the cat about that, and the cat was not amused, as you can
Mm-hmm.
imagine.
Yeah. Real quick, Mr. Gunn says, I mean, this is the first step towards a singularity. First, AI writes the stories, a human copyrights it. Next, AI deletes the human copyright itself. Then Thias says this. He says, Don, I actually think you're correct. They may have ruled the way they did purely because it's otherwise unenforceable. Also, they do not underestimate the lobby involved, like Disney, that wants to use AI for everything. And that's the thing. They're 100%. Dias, I think you really nailed it on that. And then Eric says real quick from the Tavern's Discord, Vanishing Tower. You cannot call yourself an artist if strange, new, untried tools of visual media make you wring your hands. Fantasy. And then Eric, you went on and said,
it was too long for me
okay,
one, so I had to like keep on.
is
Fantasy is the playground of the
yeah.
inappropriate.
It's my general slogan. What it means is an artist, every visual medium, tool, technique, subject matter, all is my purview. If I shut the door on the new, then I would be posing for animal crackers. Artists have no visual or has no fear of visual medium tools. News 8 p.m. This is my opinion of AI art. Get off your ass and beat the tech. You know, did the go
You know,
ahead.
here's my issue with the ethics of all of this
Yes.
is that the AI music training data, they have been very careful with the AI music training data to exclude anything copyrighted. They've been very, very careful. It's only stuff that is, public domain. Nothing goes into the training data for AI music that is copyrighted.
I'll show you guys something.
Okay, I
Because
wonder how. Is there a way that they do that?
Well, they've been very careful about what they scrape into the training data. See, with AI, with the AI chat GTP models, they scrape anything, they don't give a shit. With art, they scrape anything, they don't care. But with the music, they've been very, very careful because why? They know that there are deep pockets like
Oh yeah.
Sony who are litigious.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
file sharing. Remember file sharing and the lawsuits over that?
Napster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
they've been scrupulous with the AI music, but they are not. They're totally. They have no scruples with AI writing. With AI music, they just don't care because they know artists. What's the cliche? Starving artists. So it's a big middle finger to starving artists, and they just don't care. And look, if it's one way over here for music, then it should be the same way over here for art. But there are no scruples. There's no morals. There's no integrity. There's no ethics. And so that is
Well, it's
why I'm
easy to
on this.
it's easier to target though, because even like today, I did something as innocent as on my Facebook page. You know, Tina's been on my ass about getting back into drawing. And I did a rough sketch on my Wacom tablet using Photoshop and I posted it on my Facebook today. And I'm not going to name who they are, but one of my friends come up and said, "Is that AI art?" I mean, it's automatic, pre-cocked, man. And it's
Well,
like, no, it's not
if
AI.
Yeah.
I have the actual hard copy of the sketch, and this is why I actually like graphite and charcoal over
But you
doing.
shouldn't have to show it.
But I have the hard copy, and so I can give you a big middle finger if you accuse me of AI because I have the hard copy done in, and those are my fingerprints that did the smudging. When I get the powdered charcoal and I do a little smudging with powdered charcoal, or I also have a jar of powdered graphite and I do a little smudging with the finger because there's something visceral about touching the media with your fingertips that I love when I do art. So yeah, I love that stuff, and I love But the problem is that for artists like you, Don, who do a lot of things on your Wacom tablet, and now my brother, because is now that he's retiring from the army, he's becoming an artist and doing stuff. And I was like, I gave him a little hint, like I'm like, oh, next thing you know, you'll be doing self portraits. And then 2 days later, he did a self portrait. But so artists like you and my brother are starting to do things in a Wacom tablet. Um, you're going to have a harder time. You're going to have to show these stages. Like Scott Mulder referenced this issue he had yesterday with a manager of a Facebook group who was being a basic, a dick. But Scott was like, listen, I don't, the guy came back with, well, AI detectors say that most of your stuff is AI. And he's like, well, that's fine, but I have the wire model that I use for doing the render of that particular starship that your friend has
Well,
run through an AI filter.
well,
And so I can show that
but
where my
that's just the
stuff has come
point.
from.
Steve will tell you, like, I used to hang up my artwork in my publishing company. I'd have my drawings and such. And my wife actually has my pencil drawings I use in the Blades and Arcana. She has to hang up in her sewing room, my pencil
Nice.
sketches. You know, first of all, why do I have to show my pencil drawing to somebody?
Well,
To prove what? To prove that make their ego better. Because that way they can say, well, yeah, he proved it to me. My question is, who the fuck are you that I got to prove anything to you? You know what I mean? I mean, I could see if it was like the Ennies or something, where yeah, you got to back it up. But it's getting so bad now on social media where you take a picture, people are like mobbing you, going, "That's AI. Show proof." And then you show proof of the sketch. Well, that's AI too, photoshopped.
you shouldn't have to, but I actually think that creators, publishers like yourself, and to a certain extent, Eric and myself, who play around at being game designers and publishers, that one of the things we're going to have to do is show the concept drawing, add some artwork, to the back of a module or a rule book. It's just as a bonus. You put it in there, and it's kind of it's just kind of giving the whole, if you're in Britain, the two fingers, or here
Well,
in
that'd
America.
be cool to do. Plus, you're right. That takes the smoke out of their fire
Yeah,
by
it's
doing
like,
something like
so.
that.
So when some idiot goes, "Oh, that looks like AI," I'll be like, "Well, did you actually open the book? Because in the back we showed you the
Well,
concept
Thork,
sketch."
good night. Enjoy your tacos. I'm jealous. Now I'm freaking hungry.
Yeah. Well, I had frozen taquitos warmed up in the toaster oven with the baby. But
Well, and Fugly makes a good point. Fugly says these are the same arguments that followed from CGI programs late 90s. And I can remember in the early 2000s when brushes started coming out with Photoshop. And people are going, Photoshop brushes, that's cheating, where you can make the leaves, like do a pattern of leaves all at once. And it's
well,
like now it's just so commonplace, it's normal.
my response to somebody saying Photoshop brushes is cheating is 20 years I've been using GIMP 2 instead of Photoshop because it was free. In
Yeah.
20 years, I'm only now getting to the point where I'm like, I think like I actually can do some stuff. I can do some photoshopping after 20 years of using this program. So anybody saying Photoshop brushes is cheating, I defy you to go and do some photoshopping and use the brushes, and let's see how good your stuff comes out, because it ain't
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
It ain't easy.
Yeah. People think Photoshop is this magical thing where you can just go ahead and hit a few buttons and all of a sudden the image goes boom. Photoshop, and people like Scott Mulder will attest to this. Photoshop still takes, even when you use brushes, you got to have that core ability to get the fundamentals down in the piece of art, and to be it's like Matt Forsyth. He's a buddy of mine, and he does
He's good.
beautiful work,
Yes.
and he'll tell you flat off that you know Photoshop is just like a pencil. That's really all it is. It's a pencil, but it also has some colored pencils with it and some ink with it and stuff like that. But it's just a crazy time we live in, because I think we're living at a weird time where so much technology now is coming to light all at the same time.
Yeah. And I've been kind of dominating the conversation here, but I just want to point
You're
out,
fine.
and maybe Scott Mulder might back me up on this, is that there are techniques and things in art that if you're not an artist, you don't know about. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, you never put a horizon exact middle of the page. It doesn't look good in the exact middle of the picture. It's got to be, in the upper quarter or in the bottom quarter. It'll look good. But if you put it in the exact middle, this is one of the things I learned from my dad, who was an artist. He says, never do that, because I did that, and I had him critique and my dad's been brutal with me as an artist. So, it was one of the things, it was one of the first I got from dad, was you never do that. And, the little things like when you draw a tree, all of the branches should add up to the trunk at the bottom of the tree. So the
Yeah.
width of all the branches added together should be the same width as the trunk of the tree. And he goes, that's just science and nature, but a non-artist might not realize that when they start drawing a tree, and they might have too many branches and it's going to look wrong. The audience is going to pick up on it, even though they don't know. Even if you're not an artist, you don't know that it'll look wrong to your eye when you're looking at the picture. And so there's a lot of little things like that. Proportions to the face. That there's like the width between your eyes is one whole eye. One of your eyes is basically the width between your eyes. There's a bunch of little things like that, and we just pick up on that as human beings naturally. We don't know these things, but an artist studies these things, and they begin to learn that, you can't do that. That just placement of boobs on a chest. There's a science to that, and if you put them wrong, it's going to look funny, and so it's yeah, anyway. Yeah, Scott agrees with me. Yes, so I'm just kind of
Yeah.
running off the mouth here. Somebody else talk.
No, you're fine. I mean, the art, and that's why art is so subjective. I mean, art is different things to different people, but that's why some people, you look at some art that's very good is hyper realistic, and then some art that is really good is just this vague, almost comic book like Jim Wampler. Jim Wampler's Marvin the Mage is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But then you look at something like Matt Forsyth, some of his fantasy characters and such. The hyper realism is just, but either one couldn't draw like the other guy. They just don't
Right.
have that ability.
Well, they maybe they do. I mean, you do have some artists who can mimic another artist's
Yes,
style.
you do, but I'm talking about fundamentally though, the style. That's where style comes into play. It's like writing. Eric, is a good example. Eric wrote, Blades and Arcana. That type of game design is unique because what Eric is doing is Eric is taking very complicated concepts and putting them in a very fundamental, simple way of understanding where people can quickly get it down, understand it quickly. I can't write like that. I can't design games like that. I don't have the skill because it's a
Right.
skill set,
Hmm.
you know? Steve Lake down below, he writes these huge, massive 6, 7, 8 books, epic novel series. And we're talking about, each novel's what, Steve? 150,000 words, 120,000 words?
Oops.
You're off. Your sound's off.
100,000 on average.
How many?
100,000.
Yeah, 100,000 words per book on average. And he does 6, 7, 8 book series.
Super series.
Yeah, I can't write like that. I mean, I wrote my 2 book series, the Alterverse Gamer Saga, and between the two of them, that's 280,000 words between both books, and I'm tapped out story wise, you know. So
So
it's just all like you, Tom. Your sci-fi writing. You can do like sci-fi technical writing for like Star Frontiers. I can't do that. You know, it's
well,
all it's all.
I just want to go back to Steve there for a minute. 100,000 words, um, buddy, you better get busy because that other writer we were talking about who does 5,000 words a day, he could turn out one of your books in 20 days.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing, though. I can write. I can sit down in 2 to 3 weeks write 100,000 word novel. The thing is, then it takes me the rest of the next 6 months to edit the thing.
that bingo. There you go. Steve, this guy's like the guy I told you about the other day. What this guy does, this guy claims that what he can do is he can write a full game module in like one day, 5,000 words, 10,000 words. And then what he does, he can get it all edited the same thing and get it all done. And I call total 100% BS on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way that that's possible. I mean, I've been writing, for 20 years, and there's just no way. Fugly, Scott Mulder says, Fugly, yes, Poser and Daz are my jam. The computer sets up the models, but you have to choose how to photograph or capture it. Fugly goes on and says, Scott Mulder, I found Poser much easier than Daz. This was back around 2000, 2002, an experiment. Fugly and Scott, can you guys clarify for people watching this what is Daz, please? And also, along with that, what is Poser? Just for people to kind of understand.
Poser is just about posing your wire models.
And then, excuse me.
Mr. Gunn?
Scott Mulder says, Tom and Tenkar, Blades and Arcana is a masterclass in condensing complex concepts in a concise form. It is awesome. Can't wait for the core to come out.
And to that, I want to say thank you, and we're not worthy.
We're not worthy.
Hey, I've backed off the content for this. I'm now just going to do the covers, covers and artwork for the interior.
Well, I've recently, the past year or two, referred to something by Tim Cass as a masterclass in module writing, and I was like, to me, this is a masterclass in how you do it. And so when you say when you include Cass of something, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like I'm up to Tim Cass level. So
let me tell you about Tim Cass. Tim Cass has this is something I love about the guy. Tim Cass has the unique ability to literally dress you down and tell you how wrong you're doing it, but he does it in a way that you learn how to do it right, because then he tells you how to do it right. The man is just a joy to work with. I have learned so much off that man in the short time I've worked with him. What a pleasure, and what a freaking gem he is, man, in the game industry.
I
I'll
did
tell
an
you what.
interview with him that went like 2 hours, and we stopped the interview, and then we talked for like another hour and a half. The guy is awesome. I love
Yes,
Tim
he
Cat.
is, and he's so. This is the thing about Tim. And you get people that go, "Oh, I don't like him because he's gruff." No, he's honest. And if you give the man the chance, yes, he is gruff, but he follows up with not only being gruff with you, but then he tells you how to fix it and how to become better at it.
And that I can live with.
And he's so humble too. Sitting, me and Wampler are sitting on his back porch, and he's just sitting there talking, and you go to compliment him, and he doesn't want to talk about what he did. He wants to tell you about what other people did. So it's not all about him on the back porch going, "Let me tell you the story when I was younger and what I did for TSR." No, he'll tell you, no, it wasn't me. Let me tell you about Diesel. Let me tell you about that. And he'll go in and tell you about everybody else.
That's
But he
why
doesn't
he's
tell.
such a great interview, because I
Yes.
was asking him questions about Gary Gygax, and he was just like telling me stuff about Gary, and I barely could get anything out of him about himself.
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct when you say he's very humble that way.
Yeah. Mr. Gunn, have a good night, by the way. Thanks for tuning in
All
tonight,
right,
my
Mr.
friend.
Gunn.
Yep. And then Mark Morrison, thank you for tuning in. Didn't have the first time I think I ever saw you on our channel. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Mark says, I was a bartender for 16 years. I've been called everything in the book 1,000 times over. What I realized early is, who cares about what they say? Don't let them get to you. Just tell them to F off. And that's something that I think I have learned in the last probably year and a half. You know, it's true though, man.
Well, there's a story behind that, and that's why I laugh.
Yeah, but you got to do those sometimes. Is you just got to kind of just let it roll off your shoulders and move on with your life, because you can really let people affect you to where you become very unproductive.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, as you've harped on me about this, is sometimes get away, just walk away from the computer, man. You've given me that advice before, and it's right. It's true. Walk away.
Well,
Yeah, and
sometimes I just ignore social media and I just sit there and get on Google Drive and write.
Yeah.
And that was today. So I didn't know what you had been, what would have been going on with where you called me out for not reading my messages.
We're
You
giving you
caught,
shit because we're allowed to. We're authorized. That's
you caught me. You caught me.
yeah. Speaking about you're talking about like getting off social media and writing and stuff like that. I had back when I was on Facebook, I had this one writers group I was in, and they said, "Well, why don't we, why don't you submit your work to us for for review, and if we like it, we'll promote it to everybody." And after about 2 weeks, they come back to us or come back to me and say, "We're not, we're not presenting your stuff. Yours rated a 2 out of 5. We hate it," and everything else. Is okay. Why? Because you're not like so and so. It's good, and they're like, "Well, that's not good in our eyes. You got to be just like this guy." And I'm like, "No, I don't."
Yeah. Be yourself.
Yep.
And Steve, what's my number one rule of writing? I used to always tell my authors, stop worrying about word count. Don't write for word count. Just write for the story. It'll be done when it's done.
Right,
Whether it's
exactly.
10,000 words or 100,000 words.
Yeah, I use word count a little bit, but it's more an idea of pushing me to continually ask the question, have I said everything I need to say? Even if I don't get to say I set the benchmark at 80,000, if I've said everything at 70,000, I'm done. But at least that, that word count in the back of my mind makes me think, did I say everything I needed to?
Yep. Now, Eric, real quick, you were talking about a story earlier about WotC. What was going on at WotC now?
WotC or Roll20?
Or Roll20, excuse me. What?
Okay.
Fill everybody in. That's really interesting.
Okay, so and this was, I have a great selection of, I don't want to call them informants, but I've got there's a lot of taverners out there that will reach out to me, send me info. And I got an update on Kobold Press's Tales of the Valiant Kickstarter that Roll20, who had agreed to do a character sheet, an integrated character sheet for Roll20, announced earlier today that they don't have the resources to devote to create a character sheet for Tome of the Valiant, and therefore they aren't going to
How,
do
real
it,
quick, how do they
which
not
is
have the
amazing.
resources to do a character record sheet?
How hard is it to do a character
It's
sheet?
based. Tome of the Valiant is based on 5e, right? So I mean, really, how hard is it?
Modify a 5e sheet.
They
Yeah,
just
I
don't
mean,
want to do
it's
it.
literally. So now then the question becomes, why do they not want to do it?
What do you think?
Okay.
It sounds to me like the
The
resources thing is a just an excuse to not do it, not that they don't have the resources.
are the largest VTT company out there. They own Drive Through RPG, One Bookshelf.
Yeah.
Uh, Listen, if I was a conspiracy theorist, and occasionally I am, I don't have my tin hat.
No.
I gotta make a
Right.
tin hat for these moments. But we haven't heard jack or shit about Project Sigil from What Woods to the Coast in months. So
I think Steve hit the nail on the head when he said an excuse. Sounds like, citing resources is an excuse for not doing it to cover up the real reason. And I
Take
always
my stamp.
default back to excuses are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink.
oh yeah, I mean, again, listen, I have no inside information. I'm just going, wow, here we are. This thing kickstarted what, like a year ago?
Yeah.
And now, you're saying that you're not going to be able to fulfill this character sheet, and apparently Roll20 announced it on their Discord server first. So, and then the backers from Kobold got it, because Kobold's like, well, if you weren't on the Roll20 server, here's the announcement. That seems to me to be a little underhanded, but
Yeah.
you know,
But the thing is that's and it really, it's gonna sound so freaking horrible
yes.
me saying this, but it's almost like that's like the industry standard these days. I'm learning people are
Well,
just so spiteful and
but
just,
here's the thing, right? Other game systems have it done by the community. If the community can do it, then the company that runs the VTT and has all the expert programmers should be able to do this in less time than it takes to type out 5,000 words in AI. You would think that would be the case, but apparently it isn't.
Well, it sounds like read between the lines. Somebody's leaning on somebody.
Exactly, and actually, that's what when I got the message sent to me, that's what it started out with. It sounds like somebody is leaning on Roll20 to screw Kobold over. I don't know Wolfgang personally, but
And what players in the RPG industry would want to screw a company like Cobalt over? I mean, how much of the
well,
market is Cobalt Press?
but
Kobold
real quick,
Press is.
how much is the market do you think Cobalt Press has, Eric?
I would say for the D market. All right, we're going to say that for the D&D 5e market. We're not
Yeah.
going to go into the RPG market. I would say
20%?
Kobold Press is probably the number one or number two third party
Really?
publisher. But it doesn't. But then, they are not official, right? Because they're using the open game license.
Yeah.
But we've heard nothing on projects for months. Monster Manual 3 comes out in March. or February, I forget which. I don't really care. But the reality is, once Monster Manual 3 hits, 5e is all released. And the problem, or 5e 2024, the problem with 4e was that it was built for a VTT that never happened.
Yeah.
And that looks like potentially what's happening with D&D 2024. Again,
Well, wasn't
I got a virtual tin
Oh my
hat.
God, they're making another version of it.
What was that, Don?
They're making. Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about D&D 2024. Never mind.
Right? No, yeah, no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they're putting another version.
No,
I was like,
D&D
God.
Forever is what I tend to call it myself. You know, the forever version.
5.5, 6e, I don't care.
D&D
It's
5e,
just not a
bigger,
real I spend money
better.
on.
So
What's some good news out here, guys? It's almost 9 o'clock. Let's end this on a positive note. What are some everybody? We got the four corners here. Stephen Lake, let's start with you down below. What is something positive happening in your life in general that you'd like everybody to know about?
Well, I've gotten all my other books, everything from the last book out of the Off-Road Chronicles series. That one's out. Everything's cleaned up, ready to go into print. Some of it's already moving into print, and I'm now moving on to a new series. And I think Tom, you remember this from last time? I was talking about the Magefall series, and I'm still working on that. I've got the first two books rough drafted already. And the hilarious part is that the ideas on that have just kept flowing to the point I've got enough content for 9 books so far. So
he's not joking. He's got, and this is the thing about Steve. I will attest to this. This is not AI bullshit. This is original, pulled from his cranium, writing and creativity out of this guy. 9 books worth, 1,000,000 words, no joke.
mm-hmm.
Scary writer right there, because it's not AI one bit. But Eric, what's going on? Positive going on happening.
Hey, this is the year of the convention. I'm going to 6, maybe 7 conventions this year. I'm pretty excited about that. I don't go to play. Listen, I'm happy to play the game, but I'm going to socialize. So so the fact that I've been invited to so many and folks want me there, well, God bless you. And that's a danger unto itself. But in any case,
Yeah. So Tom, positives?
Well, actually, the fact that I've been MIA from my usual gaming activities through, Tabletop Tap Room and the fan magazine for Star Frontiers, other people have stepped up, and I'm thinking about Richard Silver and Aaron O'Brien. These guys have stepped up, and they have taken the horns of putting out another fan magazine, just with me being MIA. And even today, I had some PMs saying, "Hey, can you like change? This is a Photoshop file. It was actually a GIMP file. Can you change this around so we can use it as a cover?" So I was doing emergency work, Photoshop work today. Don, you assisted with some of that to kick out a new edition of the Star Frontiersman Volume 2 for Star Frontiers fans. It's going to be Nighthawks heavy, if you have to be a fan of that game to understand this. Going to be a lot of starships in it. And we were actually cutting content out because you get that page bloat where, and the guy who was doing the heavy lifting as editor actually did not know my numbers for figuring out page count. which my numbers are off, and I always have too many pages for the magazine. So he had like 90 pages for one issue of the magazine, and we were like, "Oh yeah, that's a little bit too much." So there's a new issue of the Star Frontiersman Volume 2 coming out,
Good.
and all of the credit goes to Richard Silva and Aaron O'Brien, who's one of our artists who also does layout. These guys are fabulous.
Excellent.
I'm going to have a cover credit on it. I've always wanted to have a cover credit. Never had one in all the years, the decades now that I've worked on fan magazines. I've always, just a little bit of,
Nice.
although it's just me doing photo manipulation of using other people's assets that I was free to use. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, and that's kind of a cool thing that's going to be happening.
Good deal. Excellent. Excellent.
So Dawn, you're up. What's happening?
Well, I'm doing a backer kit with Polly Kidd. Polly Kidd is she is the creator of some really cool games out there, as we all know. But
what did she create in the past that everybody would remember?
Shadowrun.
Ooh.
She did Shadowrun. She wrote for Wizards of the Coast. She converted the module Descent into the Depths of the Earth into a novel, and also White Plume Mountain. She went ahead and did a novel for that one. But we did a backer kit, and we funded our backer kit in 4.5 days. We funded fully.
Cool.
And we are slowly but surely, we got 16 days left now, and we are slowly moving up. And this weekend, we're going to be adding several cool stretch goals, and I'm just going to kind of sneak peek it real quick. We're going to be offering, I think Eric has to get going too, I believe. Yep, he's got to get scooting because he got his.
I have a personal necessity to deal with. So.
Yep. So you take care, Eric. We'll talk to you later. But we're also sitting there. This weekend, we're going to be offering stretch goals of player character record sheets. We're going to be offering a 12 mini stretch goal. So you get 12 minis in a pack. And we're going to be doing some other cool stuff that's we're going to be announcing. So that's a positive happening in my life. And I'm going to TotalCon as a special guest. And they're flying me out there out to Boston. So,
I'm planning on meeting you there at
yes.
So we'll
and Eric and Rach are going to be there too. So Steve,
Hmm?
TotalCon game convention. Can you get time off in the middle of like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Can you get it off in mid-February?
Not this year, no.
Oh,
I'm actually skipping my February vacation just because of what's going on.
Gotcha.
Oh, geez. Well, you know what? You should arm twist him into coming to WizardCon.
Oh, I will. Oh, he's coming to WizardCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's going to be coming to WizardCon. And speaking of WizardCon, we've been making some cool stuff, but we just got done making these today.
Yeah.
And also, I have, I don't have them right here, but we've got some really cool stickers. They look like they're basically, Blades and Arcana. Bingo. We've got, real quick, we're going to have some of these bad boys. Lost Adventures of Gary Kahn.
Lines up here on the shelf.
Yes. And then also, I'm going to be having, and Steve, this is going to be at WizardCon, but I wrote a few reference manuals.
Cool.
And these are my reference manuals for technical model building.
Yeah, so, I don't do technical. I just kit bash and wing it.
Nope, that's what these are. When I say technical model building, basically what they do is they get into the model type, and it talks about what it is, what type of paint was used, who wrote it. This is all based off of social media. Everybody in these books are people from social media that I met, friends of mine, that have done model building. So it showcases
what the audience might not know is you are a a model builder who
Yes.
does props from movies.
Yep.
People pay a lot of money for those.
Yeah, we just got done doing, as a matter of fact, we just got done delivering to Connecticut a full size Han Solo and Carbonite. And I picked up another one I'm building now. I picked one up last week. And I'm doing right now a 350 scale Klingon Katinga battle cruiser.
Ooh.
Yep. A full size Battlestar Galactica.
If I
And
remember correctly, I bought a pistol off of you that we shipped. I had you drop ship to my
your
my brother
brother
in
in
Alaska.
Alaska. Yep.
Yeah.
Went ahead and did that. And yeah, so basically it was a business I had. Then it turned into just me doing a hobby that because I did publishing. And now I kind of just do both to keep myself busy because I got to stay busy. My mind has to stay busy. It's like Steve. He has to write 24/7.
Haven't you actually done like a 5 or 6 foot Star Destroyer, Star Wars Star
Yes.
Destroyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's sitting in a bank somewhere in Connecticut.
It's actually sitting in a lawyer's office.
Okay, that's what I remember.
Yep. And then I've got a customer in Germany that me and my wife have been waiting on forever. He is sending me supposedly an 8-foot Enterprise, 8 feet.
What?
Yeah, he wants me to build the damn thing, and then he's going to have a shipping company crate the thing, and Michael's going to have me ship it to Würzburg, Germany.
So is this thing going to have like fiber optic lights and shit?
All the kits and caboodle, all metal armature, but been waiting on it forever. And
that's like the filming model of the original Star Trek series, which was 11 feet long, wasn't it?
9 feet long.
9 feet, yeah, something huge.
Yeah.
Totally take over your living room for sure.
Cooner is a really unique guy. I've actually done several models for him. I did a bunch of A-wings for him and some X-wings. He is he's from Germany. He works for the government in Germany, and he's what I call a serial collector.
Ooh.
They just collect and collect and collect. Steve will tell you. I mean, my model building. I mean, people, they want weird stuff done. Like my grail, and I'm going to do this for me, is I want to do the classic 5-foot Millennium Falcon.
Oh.
I want to do the filming size of the Millennium Falcon. I want to do a 5 freaking footer. So bad. I've got a 3D file where I can print all of the parts, all of the greebles and everything that are screen accurate. I just don't got room for it. I just don't have room for it.
I kind of want to just have a Millennium Falcon cockpit that I can go sit in my house.
There is a group of guys and I'll dig up the file, the YouTube videos. They are building one, Tom, and they're like in Louisiana, I think is where they're at.
They don't have wives or girlfriends, do they?
Oh, they do. Their wives and girlfriends are like mine, really into it. Like my wife, Tina.
Yeah.
She likes me building World War II German Tiger tanks. And she puts, they're in the living room. I'm allowed to have them in the living room. She wants me to have my X-Wing in the living room. So my wife is cool. She lets me put all that stuff in my living room.
We're talking about the good wife.
That's right. Birds of a feather, man.
Who's over there. I think she actually went to sleep with headphones on. But she totally aids and abets my gaming addiction.
You can't beat that, man. So, and Steve's got his cat Hemi, the hamster.
Coffee spiller.
Yeah.
He spilled coffee in my crotch when I went overseas one day. I'd go overseas, we sit and kick it and everything, and I had coffee. And his cat was, about a year old, Steve, at the time? 2 years old?
About a year.
And the dang thing spilled hot scalding coffee on my balls.
Well, I got you one better. We're doing potty training with the toddler. And so I picked her up at daycare today, and they said she's been completely dry all day. And I went, what? They says, yeah, we learned a trick because I send her to daycare with her with a teddy bear, And so they started asking her, does rainbow? He's rainbow in color, because my daughter in Boston bought him for the foster child, and they started asking, does Rainbow Bear need to go to the potty? And so they have a little toy potty, and they would put the Rainbow Bear on the potty, and then she would sit on the potty and pee.
Yep.
So she was completely dry all day. So I was like, wow. She goes, you want me to do it right now? And so they did it, and I was great because we're going grocery shopping. So we went grocery shopping, and because I need knee replacements, Pride, pain trumps pride. I go ahead and use the little go-karts, the little motorized go-karts. And so I had her sitting on my leg. She peed all over my leg. So I got
And by the way,
your fatherhood.
we have to address something that's very important here. Thyatis, me and you, sir, have to have a video on this and discuss this and debate this, because that, my friend, is debatable. Russian tanks were better. Yes, sir, we got to have a video on this. Thyatis, we must.
Well, all I know about Russian tanks is that there was one battle where the tanks were rolling out of the factory with no paint on them and being sent into battle.
That was notorious. They would go directly from the factory to the front lines. In fact, families could actually buy a tank and sponsor it. And they would take their own tank in the battle. But Thayas, we'll discuss this one day on video, because you are right 100%, but you are also wrong 100%. And that's kind of a weird way of putting it, but we'd get deep into that.
I would
Scott
like to
Mulder, he says, let's just steal a Millennium Falcon at Disney. You know, the big one? Oh, man, could you imagine that in my backyard?
You know what would be cool? And I only say this because I used to live in Boston, and in Quincy,
Good night,
Mass,
Thaddeus. Have a good night, my friend.
which is next to Boston, they have the Sea Witch, which is the heavy cruiser from World War II, the USS Salem.
Yeah.
And like you can, if you've got a Boy Scout troop or a Cub Scout pack, you can actually like sleep on the heavy cruiser.
Yep.
You can do a little camp out on the heavy cruiser and stay in the, in the spaces where the sailors stayed. So, I mean, to have that Millennium, if you're going to steal the Millennium Falcon, Scott, I'm all in for a sleepover. We're going to play Star Frontiers.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a submarine over on Lake Michigan. Don knows where it's at.
Yeah.
That you can actually have sleepovers inside the submarine in the bunks.
They let you sleep in it. Yep.
Well,
it's like a thing over thing.
If you said it was a German U-boat, I'm like,
oh,
yeah.
I have right there.
You had me at U-boat.
I have a 4-foot 1/72 scale German U-boat model kit right there. So,
well, because my favorite movie from World War II is Das Boot.
Good movie.
That's a good movie.
But
I mean, it's tragic, but it's like at the end you're like,
yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah, the ending was like, I'm not going to give away in case people watch. But anyway, guys, hey,
it's tense.
Yep, it is 20 minutes after 9, my friends. So
all right,
we have to get scooting. I got a meeting I got to get on the phone, and we got to have a phone conference about Zonk. So
I know who you're going to be talking to.
Yep, Mr. Floor. So,
yep. And also, Steve, Tom, also, if you get a chance to, once I get closer to being publishing ready, if you're interested, I'd love to see your feedback on the first book of Magefall.
All right.
Yep. All right, I'll get you two in contact with each other, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, guys. Well, Tom, Steve, have a good night.
And, guys, keep on gaming.
Everybody, thanks for tuning into our video tonight. Everybody
Steve,
in chat. Yep. Everybody, we appreciate it. We will be back next week. And, yeah.
And Scott, man, I love you, buddy.
Yep. Much appreciated, my friends. So
yeah, Scott's a great guy.
Yep, good guy. All the way around, good people. So
there's an artist you should patronize.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody, thanks for tuning into our vlog of many things tonight. I am Don.
And I'm Tom.
And I'm Steve.
And we